Our first song for tonight, folks, is Cosmic Debris. Here we go. This is it. 1, 2, 3, 4. The mystery man came over and he said, I'm out of sight.
Hi everyone, Richard here at Calvin Wazoo, bringing you another video and right away another installment of Frank Zappa, one album at a time. But this one, as you heard from the introduction, is a live bootleg recording, and it is from this one here that I just happened to see in a store the other day. Frank Zappa, Austin, 1973. So this looked pretty interesting, and by and large, for a bootleg, it's a reasonably good one. But as you heard with that introductory clip, there were a lot of sound issues. And there are parts, particularly, it always seems like it's with Frank's guitar, that sometimes it's muted when he's playing a solo and it doesn't really come forward. But there are other places in this recording during which his playing it does come forward. It's stronger, it's easier to hear. You could hear Ruth Underwood's playing and just amazing, maniacal. That comes through very strong. George Duke's keyboard playing, sometimes it comes through and sometimes it doesn't. But anyway, yeah, I'll just talk a little bit about this. And here's the inside cover, which is a reference to the fact that, and then we've got the information in here, and then the song list on the back. So this part here is referring to the fact that this particular show apparently was broadcast on radio, something like that. It mentions it in here, released in September 1973. Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention's overnight sensation it was talking about overnight sensation. And so it was weird. In the wake of the record, Zappa and the then current Mothers of Invention lineup embarked on a short North American tour. The group performed at Armadillo World headquarters in Austin, Texas on the 26th of October, 1973. Now it lists in here musicians. I'll get to that in a minute. And it says they put on an extraordinary show that was recorded for live FM radio broadcast. However, in true Frank Zappa style, the band did not perform a single track from their new album, referring to Overnight Sensation. Previously unreleased, the show is now available in its entirety on this LP. So I found that kind of interesting. Well, they didn't play anything from Overnight Sensation. But, we look at the set list and the first two songs, Cosmic Debris and Inca Roads, okay? Cosmic Debris would show up on Apostrophe, which hadn't been released yet. And then Inca Roads, which would show up on One Size Fits All, which hadn't been released yet. Pygmy Twilight, which would show up on Roxy and Elsewhere, which hadn't been released yet. Same with Dickie's Such an Asshole. And So, there was material on this recording that hadn't been released yet. So he knew this was going to be for a radio show. I'm presuming. I don't have any information to back this presumption up. But what we got is probably Frank knowing that this is going to be on the radio and people record stuff off the radio. So he didn't want to play songs from one's overnight sensation, knowing that a lot of people might be, making boot tapes or something like that. Anyway, that's just pure speculation. In terms of overall sound quality, I've got some more samples here for you to listen to. But I'll say that this is better. This is not a bad boot. There are better ones that are available, but there are also others that are far worse. And I did a review on the State Farm Theater show, and that was a terrible boot. It's just so hard to hear most of the stuff, especially Frank's guitar. You can hardly hear it at all. But we do get some really good, clear guitar solos and the other musicians. Despite there were, as I show earlier, or as you listened earlier, with the opening clip that I played, they had some sound monitor issues and soundboard issues during the show. So, right, the musicians on this particular recording listed here, it says with George Duke on keyboards, Tom Fowler on bass, Chester Thompson on drums, Ruth Underwood on percussion, and Napoleon Murphy Brock on sax. Well, that wasn't everybody, all right? So they omitted several musicians who Frank introduces, at the end of the show, or the main part of the show before they do their encore. And so, yeah, we've got Ruth Underwood on vibes and percussion. We got Napoleon Murphy Brock doing some vocals and also saxophone. Yes, we've got George Duke and doing the keyboards and vocals. And we have Bruce Fowler on trombone. And then we have Tom Fowler on bass. And then it's Chester Thompson and Ralph Humphreys on drums, the duo drumming. And I tell you, they are maniacal during this show. So talking about the tracks, so yeah, we did that opening there, and they go into Cosmic Debris. But here's a little more from Cosmic Debris for you to listen to. Pretty interesting. Now, we go into Inca Roads, and the Inca Roads in this iteration is mostly focused on George Duke and, what he's doing with the keyboards. There's no grand guitar solo like what appears on One Size Fits All, but of course that guitar solo was recorded from another show in Finland, Helsinki, I believe it was. And the interesting thing is that, and also the separation of sound is not quite as good as with some of the other songs here, but it's at a different tempo, and the singing is a slower tempo, but it's a very interesting iteration of the song, which developed later for its ultimate 1975 release. Then we go into side B, and we've got Pygmy Twilight, and which is one that is on the Roxy and Elsewhere. We got Napoleon Murphy Brock doing that. They do The Idiot Bastard Son, and it's called here's they call it creepness on here, but the song is cheapness. All right, the song about monster movies and I ate a hot dog and it was real good, that. Then they do Big Swifty. This would be shortly after the Grand Wazoo and Petty Wazoo tours. Pretty good rendition of Big Swifty. And then side B closes out with what is called the San Clemente Magnetic Deviation Preamble, which is the preamble into side C, which opens with Dickie's Such an Asshole. Then the next one, another mistake. It says Father Oblivion. The song is Farther Oblivion. And it's a pretty good recording of that, really good. And then that closes out the show. And so some of the other things I wanted to play for you are going to be mostly coming from, if I remember here. Well, actually, let's listen to this clip here of Napoleon Murphy Brock playing saxophone. Because this is a medley of Mr. Green Jeans with King Kong and Chunga's Revenge. So we've got Napoleon Murphy Brock playing saxophone during this. Then after, here is, I mentioned, some playing by Ruth Underwood. Here is some Ruth Underwood, although I probably could have picked a better example, but, it's still pretty good here, Ruth Underwood. Then here we got Bruce Fowler on doing a trombone solo. Amazing. I mean, his playing is so, it's hard to describe. It really truly is a sort of a jazz style of playing in which it sounds like he's making mistakes, but they're all intentional. So really good playing here by Bruce Fowler. Listen to this. And after that, we've got some keyboard playing by George Duke, and it is really, really amazing what he is doing with the keyboards here. He's doing a lot of amazing stuff throughout the show, but some of it's not so easy to hear because, it's a bootleg recording. But what he's doing here in this little clip that I'll play for you is really amazing. Yeah, and then here we have Frank with a guitar solo when he gets to the point about, Chunga's Revenge, which has a very famous guitar solo in it, and he pretty much devotes a guitar solo to this song every time it's played in concert. Here's the first guitar solo for you. Really, really, truly amazing stuff. And I tell you, you got to be listening to also Ralph Humphreys and Chester Thompson's drumming, through all of this. These guys were just maniacal throughout the show. Really, really intense stuff. And then, so the final clip here that I'll play for you is some more of Frank's solo from the closing song, Chunga's Revenge. So those solos came through really well, in the recording. And there are some other spots where he is doing some solos that do come through. I picked this up in part, because it is Austin 1973, and my first Frank Zappa show ever. And I did a video on this, and now I'm drawing a blank about whether it was 1974. Spring of 1974, if it was the fall of 1973. I think it was the spring of 1974 is when I saw Frank, but it would have been this group touring with him. And I'm kind of thinking that, the set list here that's on this particular recording is good. It is very similar to what he played during the show that I saw, which I believe that is with my Apostrophe video, my review of Apostrophe. I think that's when I really talk about the show that I saw at then Ferris State College, which is now Ferris State University in Michigan. But anyway, you can see the records, have this label on them with the photo similar to the cover. Each the quote unquote B side of each record shows the track listings for this side and the other side. So yes, black vinyl. Overall, pretty good for a bootleg. I'm glad I picked it up. Pretty nice card stock also for the cover. So, if you are a major Frank Zappa fan and you like bootlegs, even when sometimes, bootleg sound quality can be really iffy. But, if that's your thing and you like it, I really do recommend this one if you see it. Because it's brand new. Well, not brand new. It looks like they put a copyright on it. The Parachute Recording Company, but it's 2020, so I guess it was initially released last year. So it may still be cropping up in stores just like it did for me. It is a European pressing, says pressed in the European Union by the Parachute Recording Company. You know, I don't know if it's really a bootleg because it says no part of this package or artwork may be reproduced without the written permission of Parachute Recording Company. So, you know, I don't know. That would be pretty bold of a bootlegger to be putting some, a disclaimer on the material, on the packaging. Well, regardless, the bottom line is it's a pretty decent recording. And so if you see it and you're a Zappa fan and you don't mind bootlegs, I would recommend getting this. You know, leave comments in the down under, please, especially if you've listened to this recording, or if you have it, or if there are any other Zappa bootlegs on vinyl that you think are worth mentioning. Hey, let me know. I'd love to find out stuff like that. And as always, pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.